All right, well, welcome everybody. Good to see you guys after a nice summer break there. And those that are viewing online live, welcome to you as well. For those who could not be with us in person, and if you're watching the recording later in the future, fantastic too. I'm glad that is working for you as well. So glad to have you connecting with us, whatever the method would be. Welcome to our September 18th Google user group meeting. This is our first meeting for this school year. I think our last meeting was, did we get one in May? I don't think we did. I think April is where it ended off. And then once we hit summertime, it moved into lots of PD and lots of other stuff. So we did not have any meetings over the summer, but our plan would be to do these once a month, just like we did last year. And if somebody is sort of new to this, couple of quick things. I know most everybody in this room here knows what's going on, but if somebody's watching this live or recorded and you don't know exactly what we're doing, basically we do a 2-hour, typically about a 2-hour meeting once a month, usually the third Friday of the month. Sometimes that switches. If it does, we'll show you where to check for the schedule there. And we just talk about all things Google related to schools. Usually a good chunk of our meeting is what's new in Google as far as what new things they've rolled out in the last month. So it's just a great way for you to be just totally up to date on all the new things so that you don't get caught off guard when things change suddenly on you and your users. We also have time in here for questions, for sharing, lots of things like that. Probably the key thing is to make sure that you have, let me get down to our important links here. The key, actually, I think it's up at the top too. There it is. The key link is this big link here at the top, google.apps.spark.org/user group. As long as you have that link, you're great. You're going to have access to everything we're doing in the session. I'm going to jump over to that site here in a moment just to show you, show you where everything's at there. But google.apps.spark.org/user group, that's the key link to everything, because when you go to that website, here is where it takes you right here. This is our Spark Google user group website. And this is sort of a combination of Spark and GEG Ohio. We also run the Google Educator Group for Ohio, so this is sort of a combo for both of those organizations. And once you get to that page, if you scroll down, you'll see our, let me zoom in a little bit on that. That's a little small to see there. There we go. You'll see our schedule for this year. Now, again, all of these could change. So you definitely want to check before you drive here or schedule some time to join the Hangout. Definitely check, because month by month, things come up, stuff happens. But this is the plan as to when we would have them. Now, normally we meet here at Spark, and typically we try to have a second location up in Portage County. So very likely we may do that for our future meetings here as well. Today we're just here at Spark. But for each meeting, you'll see that there's 2 links. One is the live video. So if you're watching me live right now, well, you found that link already. The next link is the agenda. And so if you have not yet opened up the Google Doc for today, that link gives you this big doc that we're all inside of here right now. It is an editable doc, so anybody can type in it. The folks here with me, the folks watching, through the Hangout, that's perfectly fine. Type whatever you want in there. It's open for everybody. Now, after the meeting is done, sometime maybe over the weekend, then I'll get a link put in the final column for the recorded video. So if you've come back later, the live video will be over at that point, but we'll have a link to the recorded video so you can watch it later. If for any reason you needed to get any of the back catalog, all the back catalog is down there at the bottom from last year. Anyway, this is what you would have for our upcoming year this year. All right. Let's go ahead. I got to move a few things. I got a bunch of windows open here. Let me move a few things around on my screen. Okay, there we go. So as far as the agenda, as long as you get to google.apps.spark.org/user group, you're golden. You got everything that you're going to need for the session. If you scroll down, just want to show you what's in this document. There is a section with our contact info. So hi, I'm Eric, and I'm joined here by Anthony. Say howdy, Anthony.
Howdy.
There's Anthony. All right. So you can contact us. Our email addresses are there. So if you need to get in touch with us. Below there, we do have some important links, like we've already mentioned, the main link being the user group page. There are a couple of other things we've thrown in there, and we'll probably reference a few of those, but you can certainly check through those yourself and click on those. But if you go down a little further, you'll get to a section on updates, then upcoming events. We'll hit both of those. The bulk of today is going to be what's new in Google Apps. But at the very, very, very bottom, there's a question and answer section and a show and tell section. So if you have any questions that you would like us to chat about today, we can't guarantee we've got the answer, but hey, we'll throw it out to all the folks involved, and we'll see. You can come down here and you can type in the question and answer section. We'd love to help you if we can. And then there's a section called show and tell, where if you do have something cool you want to share. And Jess, I'm not putting you on the spot. You don't have to share anything today. This is the start of the year, and Jess is up to her eyeballs in help tickets. So normally, Jess.
By the way, if the rest of the world is looking for Jess, she's here.
No, she's not. No, you cannot bother Jess. Leave her alone. She is in a meeting now. But usually Jess shares a favorite app or extension each month, and I'm sure we'll do so in the future. But if you, as you're watching today, have a cool thing you'd like to share, type it in. You know, there's something neat you're doing with your kids, something new you've learned about Google Apps that you think is awesome, just anything. It's show and tell. It's up to you. So feel free to throw some things in there if you would like. Okay. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get started with the actual meeting here today. So as I start scrolling down here, again, welcome. You guys know who we are. That's great. As far as the important links, a couple of things that wanted to mention about some of the important links in there. One is signing into the meeting. The third bullet point down here says Google User Group sign-in form. If you would like to get a certificate of attendance for attending this meeting, which we'll generate shortly after the meeting is over, there is a link right here to a Google form. And if you click on that link, it'll take you out there, and you'll see that it's going to ask for your name, your email address, what school district or organization you're from, and then what meeting you're attending. Now, obviously, the only meeting is today's. I update that each time. And then you can let us know how you attended. Oops, oh, I got to fix that. Oh, no. Hold on a second. Eric's got to fix the form. Live fixing of the form. How about that, folks? Don't fill out the form. Yeah, hold on a second. I got to update this. At Spark. There we go. At Spark or online. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, folks. Live fixing of the form. There we go. Do not fill it out yet. Now we'll refresh it, and it should be fine. Sorry about that. So the date of the meeting you would choose today, and then you would choose whether you came in person at Spark here or whether you viewed it online. There is one extra question we've added this year, and that is this your first time attending our Google User Group meeting? So if you don't mind letting us know if you've been to these before or not, that is helpful as well. So if you would fill that form out at your convenience, that will let us know who was here, either in person or online, and it will also get you a chance to get your certificate of attendance. I'll email those out sometime after the meeting. You'll get a PDF certificate of attendance that you can turn in to your LPDC. All right. Beyond that, we've got a couple other links here worth mentioning. There's a link to our Google resource site. There's a link to our tech integration site. There's a link to our Spark newsletter if you want to stay up to date on all of that. We've also got a link to GEG Ohio, which is the Google Educator Group of Ohio. And I've also got a link out to the Apps User Group site, where I put a lot of my help guides there as well. So just a lot of, useful links there in that section. Next thing down is the updates. We always just want to let people know how our user groups are doing. We run two different user groups, GEG Ohio, which is for the entire state of Ohio, and then the Spark Google User Group, which is more for Northeast Ohio, this area up here. These links will take you out to those Google communities. So if we click on the Spark Google User Group community, you'll see that is a Google Plus community. And we've got 413 members at the moment there. It's a great place to go to connect with other educators in and around Northeast Ohio. And then we also have a link here to the GEG for Ohio, the Google Educator Group for the entire state of Ohio. And we're up to about 687 members there. So again, definitely invite you guys to visit those communities, join those communities, contribute questions, suggestions, ideas, learn from others, connect with others. All right. All righty, let's head on down to upcoming events. And if you guys have anything, please stop me at any point here if you've got something to add to these. So if there's a conference you know about or some training opportunity or something coming up, please, please, please let me know. Either type it right into the document there or just, share it here in the meeting. So a couple of upcoming events to make people be aware of is we are starting back up our webinars. Anybody catch any of the webinars last year in this room here? A couple of you guys? Okay. Anthony, you didn't watch any of them? Okay, well, seeing as how you did half of them, hopefully you caught a few. Just so you know, we try to do about one webinar a week here through Spark, and they're free. They're an hour long. You can watch them live. You can watch them recorded later. We did them last year from December through April, took off the summer, and we're starting those back up now. So you can see a link to all of the previous webinars here. We have about 16 of them from last year. But then we also have 2 scheduled for next week and the following week. I'm doing one on Google Classroom, and Anthony's doing one on web searching. And so you can follow this webinar link to one of these. There's a register link where you can sign up for the webinar. Again, it's free. There's no cost involved in any of that. It'll be next Tuesday, the 22nd from 3:30 to 4:30. And then after the webinar is done, there is a quiz which will be added at that point that you can take. Simple 5-question quiz to prove you watched the webinar. And if you take that quiz, you will again be emailed a certificate of attendance, a PDF certificate of attendance for 1 hour that you can turn in for your PD.
We'd like requests.
And we would like, Anthony is saying if anybody has any specific topics that you would like us to cover, please let us know. Drop us an email and say, hey, we'd love it if we had a webinar on such and such a topic. There's so many great topics out there, but if you've got things you're really curious about, that would help us prioritize them, so we would make sure that we get to those things first. So so that's coming up. We'll be having many, many more to come. Other quick announcements, the NeoTi conference is coming up October 3rd. NeoTi is, this is their second conference, right, Anthony? We did one of them with them in the wintertime.
Freezing winter.
Okay, well, they are back. NeoTi is Northeast Ohio Technology Integration Educators, or something like. I'm sorry, I'm going to botch what their name stands for now. But they have a conference that they put on, and it is back. And this one is October 3rd. Which is a Saturday. So this would be heading up north on a Saturday. And it's actually, where's it located at, Anthony? What's the city this is in?
Beechwood.
Beechwood. It's in Beechwood. Okay. So up north, high Northeast Ohio area there. But it was a great conference. We had a really good time last time we attended. And I think we'll both be there again this year, right, Anthony?
Yes.
Yep. All right. So just want to let people know, great conference to take advantage of. Anybody have anything else on updates or questions or anything before we head into all of the new things since last time we met? Everybody in here able to get on the Wi-Fi and able to get to the agenda and everything?
I didn't get to the agenda.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay, if you can't get to the agenda again, google.apps.spark.org/user group will be the page to go to. And then from there, you'll be able to grab the agenda. That way you can type in and follow along with us as we go. All right. All righty. Well, there's been a lot of stuff since the last time we met. And so what we're going to spend some time on now is just catching up on all the things that Google has released in the last month. Now, I'm trying to keep it mostly to the last month just because there's just so much stuff we could look at since, last April when we last met. So really, the bulk of this is just what has come out in the last month. Having said that, though, there were a few things that I just couldn't ignore. So there are a couple extra updates that were beyond the last month. And so I picked just a few that were so cool from June, July, and early August. So I have thrown in a couple that are outside of the normal monthly range. But normally, each month, we just look at the last the last 30 days or whatever, and share the updates from there. Okay, so what is new? Some of these are really small. Some of them are pretty impactful. The first thing is Hangouts now has its own website. We're doing a Hangout right now. This is how we're broadcasting this live and how we're having people view this. Turns out that Google has now set up a web page at hangouts.google.com. If I go ahead and open that up, you'll see. Here it comes. And basically what they've done is they've given a specific page just for Hangouts, so you can launch a Hangout. That would be a video call. You could launch a phone call, which Hangouts lets you do just voice dialing. And you could launch just a chat message with somebody else. Now, this is just one more way to launch Hangouts because you can do it in a lot of other ways. You could go to Gmail, and from Gmail in the bottom left-hand corner where you got your chat window, you can always launch Hangouts there. You could go to Google Plus and launch Hangouts from there. You could use the Hangouts app or the Hangout extension. And all of those could be installed. I don't have my Hangouts extension installed up here right now, or don't have it turned on, but you can have that. So there's been many ways to do this in the past, 4 or 5 different ways you can launch a Hangout. Now, this is just one more way, but I think what's really important about it is that it's just showing, again, the dismantling of Google Plus, that Hangouts used to be very, very tightly connected to Google Plus, and now it's got its own complete separate page, little by little by little. They're not doing away with Google Plus. It'll always be there, but they're separating services from it. So in the past, you had to have Google Plus if you wanted to have Google Photos. Not anymore. Anybody can have it. You had to have Google Plus to have Hangouts. Not anymore. Anybody can use Hangouts. There are still some things that you need Google Plus for, like communities or some of the special Hangout features like Hangouts on Air, but most all that stuff is getting separated. So just be aware, Hangouts now has an even easier way for people to launch a Hangout, just hangouts.google.com. All right. Next up, these are some mobile updates. And so for this, I'm going to try something, and we'll see if it works. I'm going to try to put my phone on the screen here. So let's see how well Eric does here. Let's see if this works. Okay, there's my phone. Is it going to show? Let's see. Come on, phone. You can do it. I believe in you, phone. Oh, it's not showing anything at the moment. Hold on. Let me open it and close it again. Hang on just a second here. And I will open it back up, and let's see if that will work. It was working before everybody got here, so it does work. Let me just see if it will. Let's try it again. So let's open her back up here. See if I can connect to it. All right. All right, here we go. Let's bring it over. Oh, as soon as I do it, oh, there it is. Yay, it's there. Ta-da, it worked. Yay. Okay. So it turns out that Google has released a bunch of updates for mobile, and I wanted to show you some of the new things you can do when you're using Docs and Sheets and so forth on your mobile device. So I'm going to head over to Sheets first here and show you some of the new things there. All right, so this is a Google Sheet I threw together a little bit earlier just so we'd have it in there. And 2 of the new things that they've done on mobile with Sheets is one they call like intelligent keyboard, or intuitive keyboard, meaning that if I come in here and I say, oh, I want to click and I want to type in something into a cell, normally it brings up your regular, alpha keyboard there with all your letters. Well, it turns out though that it's pretty smart now. So if I click on a cell that has a number in it or is formatted for numbers, if I go to edit that cell, it automatically switches over to the number keyboard. And if I go to a cell that has letters in it, it switches over to the letter keyboard. So that was kind of neat to help save a little bit of time so you're not popping around between keyboards. But the really cool thing that Sheets does now is if you come in here and if you select a series of numbers or words and you drag that down and then click on the area that you have selected, you can now do autofill inside of the mobile device. You could always do that on the desktop device, but now you can do it on the mobile device. Same thing up here. If I drag down the months, click on there and say autofill, it'll autofill the months for you as well. So that's pretty cool. And then the other thing that was new on mobile was with Docs. And so I'll pull up our agenda for today here inside of Docs, is they now have what they call print layout view inside of here. So if I were to come into our Google Doc here and click on the little dots in the top here, I can switch over to print layout view. And if I switch over to print layout view, what it's going to do is it's going to show me how that document actually would look if printed out, rather than being all in one continuous document. So they have print layout. And the other thing they added, it is later down in the bullets here, but I might as well mention it, is they've also added the research tool into mobile now, which we all love the research tool. I mean, it's a fantastic tool to be able to go out, grab websites, grab images, and insert them into your document. Turns out now, if I'm here, let me go back into my edit mode here. Oops, sorry about that. If I'm in edit mode here, I can now go up to my little dots and I can choose research. And I can now run a research. So I could type in something like Google and run a search for Google. And I could go to images, and any image I find now, I'd be able to click on that image and I'd be able to insert that into my document. Boom. And there we go. And so right from the research tool, I can now insert images and links to websites. And so wherever that popped in, there it is, blink, popped in right in there. All right, excellent. Very good. So typically every month, that's what we see, is that Google constantly takes the mobile device, or the mobile versions of their products, and makes them closer and closer and closer to their desktop versions. So that is nice to see. Get rid of that Google there. Blink. All right, let's keep on heading down. What else new things came out? Oh, classroom features. Have you guys seen all the new classroom features that have come out? My heavens, they rolled out a bunch of new classroom features. Have you guys been able to use any of them yet? Anybody use any of the classroom features yet? Which ones have you used so far? What new things have you played around with?
The layout, when you're grading, now you can see all of the documents instead of just as a list.
That's right. Yeah, now it shows you like thumbnails of the documents, and you can see them like live as to how they look. That's nice. Anybody else do anything new with Classroom yet this year?
Post to top. I like
Oh,
that.
yeah, when you move the posts up to the top so something doesn't get buried. Any other ones you played with?
For high school language arts, if you're using the share it directly, the link that you can share now.
Yes, where you can push a web page out to the kids in your classroom. Yeah, well, let's take a look at some of those. So I've got Classroom opened here somewhere. There it is. Boink. All right, so here's Classroom. And I've just opened up one of our boot camp classes from this summer just to use as an example. And yet there are a bunch of neat new features they have rolled out. So for example, one of the new ones is the ability to add gradable forum questions. So in the past, if I wanted to add something to the stream, I basically would add either an assignment or an announcement. Now you still have them, those are still there, but now if I go down to the plus button, which is now where you go to add new things, you will see I've still got my announcement, I've still got my assignment, none of that changed, that's all there, but now we have a new option called create question. And so what it is, creating a question, it's a lot like an announcement. It's very, very similar to an announcement. The difference is it's gradable. So if I throw out a question here, like what is one of your favorite Google tools? I could put that out as a question, pick a due date for it. And if I wanted to, I can still attach an uploaded file, a drive file, a YouTube video, a link, just like always. I can attach all those sort of things. I can also decide which classes I want to push it out to. But the point is, once I'm done creating that question, I have an ask button. When I click that ask button, it says, okay, are the students going to be able to see each other's answers, or is this just private? Is it they're going to see the question, they respond to it, and I'm the only one who sees it? Or can they see each other's answers after they've submitted theirs? So you can decide whether or not you want to give them that option and whether or not they can answer or they can edit their answers. But once I hit ask, it is now going to push out that like an assignment. It's basically a gradable forum. So they're not going to turn something in. They're not going to take a document and attach it. They're not going to upload anything. It's all going to be text. They're just going to be answering it. So let me pop over to a different screen here where I'm a student. So here I am as a student. So this is from the student view. And you'll see it says question, what is one of your favorite Google tools? Not done, due on Monday. So I can come in here and I can say, I like Google Hangouts. And I could go ahead and submit that. And it says, okay, that's it. Once you submit it, you're done. I'm going, yep, okay. Click submit, and it will submit that. Now that I've turned in my answer, I could see my classmates' answers if other people had submitted theirs. Let's pop back over to being the teacher now. Now as the teacher, just like normal, you'll see how many are done and how many are not done. I can now, as a teacher, start grading these. And so what I'm going to see is all the people in my class, those that are done, those that are not done. And then over here, I'll see their actual comments, and I can give grades for these. So I could say maybe this is just a 1 point, a 1 point discussion question. That's fine. So I'll make it worth 1 point. I could say, okay, great job. I can even reply to the student. I could say, me too. And then I could come over here and give them a grade, give them 1 out of 1, return that, and now we've got that graded for them.
Can you ask multiple questions?
In one assignment, no. I mean, you can ask a bunch of questions, but it's just, I mean, I guess you could just type a whole bunch of them on the line, but there's not going to be like an option for them to answer them separately connected to each of your questions. But again, if you let students see each other's, they can reply to each other as well. So the assignment could be answer this question and respond to at least one of your classmates. And you wouldn't give them a grade until you had seen that they had actually done that they had replied to you and they also had replied to somebody else. So Classroom now has gradable forums, basically, which is nice. I like that. Other things that Classroom has added is the ability to reuse old stuff. So if I click that little plus button like you saw a while ago, above announcement, assignment, question, there's one that says reuse post. If I click on that, I can go into any of my previous or current classes. It can be ones that are going on right now, or it can be archived. Some of these are archived classes. That's fine too. You can go to any class that you want, and once you choose that class, you'll select it. It'll then show you all of the different assignments, questions, announcements, anything you've made in that. And you could go in and say, you know what, I want to reuse this old assignment or this old announcement or this old question. So you can choose one of them. And notice there's even an option to create new copies of all the attachments. So it'll make a whole brand new copy of your template that you're working off of or whatever attachments you've got. Go ahead and hit reuse, and basically it will recreate that assignment for me until I hit assign. It's not official, but it'll go ahead and it'll attach the document, it'll put in everything from before, and now I could assign that without having to recreate the whole thing. So that'd be a really nice way to save time on things that you've done well in the past. I should mention while we're on this, the other thing, another new thing, is the ability to not have a due date. So where it says it's due on September 1st, I do have the option to turn off the due date and not even have things due at a specific time anymore. All right, well, I'm not really going to assign that. I'll just delete that one out, but you get the idea. Last thing about new right now with Classroom, we heard mentioned just a moment ago, and that is moving things to the top. What if you had an assignment or an announcement or a class question that you wanted to make sure people saw? Well, you get a bunch of people posting other things and it gets pushed way, way down because this is chronological. Well, if I scroll way, way down, I could find something that I wanted to sort of resurrect. I could say, you know, this announcement was from back in July and it's gotten buried. Nobody can see it anymore. You can now click the little dots up here and you can say move to top. And when you do that, blink, it now moves that up to the top. And so it kind of bumps it back up so people can see that thing again. So that's nice. There are a couple of new things that have not rolled out yet that they say are coming though soon. In the announcements that they posted online, they mentioned that soon there'll be an option to easily attach a form to a post so that you'll be able to just browse through your forms and grab one, and it'll actually put the link in for the live form that the students would fill out. So that's nice. And they've also said that calendar integration is coming. That what's going to happen is, by default, anytime you create a classroom, it will automatically create a calendar to go with that classroom, and everything you post in Classroom will automatically get posted to that calendar. And so it's just going to make it a whole lot easier to have a class calendar right through Classroom. So that's cool. So that's coming as well. While we're still on Classroom, I know there's a few things here that aren't Classroom specific, but Jess, you mentioned the one, right, about the push out. Yeah, let me see. Here it is. New extension. So down here, number 9, there's a new extension to share links with your classroom. Here's the idea behind that. Let's say you have a web page you want your kids to get to right away. To make it easier to be able to push things out to your kids, let me pop over to my Classroom page here again. Let's say I go to like our tech integration site. So I wanted everybody in the classroom to automatically get this web page. Well, there's a new extension, and it's way up here in the top right-hand corner. It looks like the Classroom icon. It's called Share to Classroom. Now, the way it works is your students have to be using it too. Okay, so you can't just be you. They have to have the extension turned on as well. So you can push this out to them. You can just use whatever method you guys use in your school, whether it's the admin console, whether it's Google Play for Education, however you want to get it out to your kids. They need the extension as well. But if I come up to this extension, the Share to Classroom extension, and I click it, what it does is it comes in and it, here, let me back up a second. There we go. It comes in and it shows you all of your current classes. So I can come in here and I can say, okay, I want to push this out to my Google Bootcamp class. Choose my class. And then once I've chosen my class, all I have to do is click the push button. And as long as the students also have this extension installed, it will automatically open that page on their devices for them. So if they're on Chromebooks, if they're signed into Chrome on a Mac or a PC, as soon as I hit push, it's now going to send that page out to all of those kids. And so boop, 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 it would just start opening up on their devices. So that's a really nice way to push out a website to your kids. Now, don't confuse that with the extension I have right next to it. There's also one right next to it here. Whoops, close out of that, which is Add to Classroom. That extension is not the one we're talking about right here, but this is one that's been out for a little bit longer. The Add to Google Classroom, basically, come on, you can work. Oh, what's it doing? Oh, I had to give it permission. Oh, no, there it is. I just have to click on it. Sorry. It basically asks you to choose what class you want to give a link to. It's not going to make it pop up on the kid's screen. It's not like that. Instead, what it's going to do is it's going to create an assignment or an announcement from it. So you could just say, I want to make an announcement with this link. And so you could push it out as an announcement. So this adds the web page to the Classroom stream, whereas this other extension actually pushes the page right out to the kids and makes it open up live for them. But those are great. So those are some new Classroom features and extensions. Anybody got any questions or comments about that?
What was the first one called where it pushes and opens a page? What was
Yeah,
the extension called?
that one, the actual name of it is Share. Hold on, let me bring it back up. It's actually called Share to Classroom. Share to Classroom. In our agenda, that one is bullet point number 9. It says new extension to share links with your classroom. I've got a link to the article, and from there you could probably get a link to the actual extension. So if I go into the article there, there's probably a link right to the extension, or you could just go to the Chrome Web Store and search for Share to Classroom. Here we go. So here's the article, and I think this is probably going to be a link straight to the Chrome Web Store. Yep, there it is. So share to Classroom, and you can install that as an extension for Chrome. All right. Any other questions on any of that so far? Good stuff. All right. Are your teachers taking the Classroom well? People seem to be using it. I've seen it be a great tool. I mean, people seem to love it. You know, even if they've never really used Google much before, but especially if they have, they're like, oh my heavens. I mean, the amount of time it saves by not having to tell kids, okay, you know, make a copy of this document, rename it like this, share it back with me. You know, all of those things, that can just be a challenge for any kid, especially younger kids.
It's really helped with students who miss class at our high school level. They now aren't coming in saying, oh, what did I have to do? They already know. They just go to Google Classroom, and even on the days they're absent, they're emailing our teacher saying, you know, I have a question about this. So that's really powerful, I think.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. Well, very good. I'm glad to hear that people are taking well to it. I would think so. I'm glad to see Google is still supporting it and rolling out new things as people have been asking for stuff. I know like calendar integration, that was a big thing. People have been asking for that. So they really are doing a great job of responding to what people ask for and continuing to develop that. Good stuff. All right, which I will, again, that's my webinar on Tuesday is going to be all on Classroom. So if you have anybody who's not really using it yet, hopefully that'll turn out to be a decent resource that you could point them to. I'm basically going to try to cover everything I can in an hour. Going to just go through everything from the start of Classroom. We'll do announcements, assignments, questions. We'll do the whole shebang, getting it all set up, archiving classes, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that'll be a nice resource for folks if they're still new to Classroom, if they haven't gotten into it yet. All right, couple more new things. What else is new? They have released now an update with better warnings on sharing issues. Now, what I mean by that is if you have a document, and here I've got one that I've already got pre-created here. If you have a document that you share with somebody else, and then later on something changes where their district maybe turns off their ability to get things from the outside, now the share button will get this little warning symbol on it saying, uh-oh, something changed and somebody that you shared with can't get to this anymore. So if I click on my sharing button, you will see that test user 20, who I shared this with, no longer has the ability to see this. Why? Well, because I moved them into a different organization that isn't allowed to get stuff from the outside to force this to happen. But that's the idea, is you would no longer now share something thinking the other person got it and not realize they're not even able to view it. So it does a much better job of letting you know if somebody has turned off that feature, which I really would encourage schools not to turn off that feature. I think it's great to allow your staff and students to be able to access Google Documents from outside of your domain. But I do know schools still sometimes do turn that feature on to block that. So this would let you know if that's the case. Now, while we're on this screen, I'm going to pick up another one real quick. There was another neat thing, so it's a little bit out of order here, but we might as well mention it. It was actually from earlier in the summer, and it is the ability to disable downloading, printing, and copying of your Google Drive files. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit out of order, but since we're already inside of here, we might as well talk about it. In the past, if you shared a document with somebody, even as low as view rights, all they have is view rights, they could still make a copy of your document. They could print it. They could download it as like a PDF. There was things they could do with it still, even though they couldn't change your original. They could make, you know, their own copy of it, download it, print it, things like that. So I have shared this with my Spark account here. So let me go ahead and open it up in my Spark account so you can see. I'll do both of these side by side here. So let me go to my Spark account. So here I am viewing this now from my regular Spark account. It is view only, which by the way, they did update how that looks. It looks a little different now, kind of jumps out at you. That was much earlier in the summer when they updated the view only look. But I can go file, make a copy, download as, email as an attachment, print. I can do a lot of stuff with it. Well, turns out you now can control that as well. So if I pop back over to being the owner of the document and I go to my sharing settings, way at the bottom now, there's a new section down here, and it includes disable options to download, print, and copy for commenters and viewers. Now that doesn't work for editors. If you give somebody edit rights, then they can do those things. But if they're a commenter or a viewer, I can now say, you can't download this. You can't print it. You can't make a copy of it. And as soon as I do this, watch what happens. Let me hit save, save those changes. Once that gets all saved there, let's pop back over now to my other account. And it says options to download, print, and copy have been disabled. So now I can't make a copy. I can't download. I can't email as an attachment. I can't do any of those things. So if you've really got something that you do not want people making a copy of at all, and I guess that makes sense. I mean, you know, somebody could take the newsletter that you put, make a copy of it, change some words in it, make it look like it says something different, you know. Well, now they can't do that. Now I know there's always a way, you know, somebody will find a way to you know, copy paste, do something else. But as far as just going in and saying, hey, I'm going to make a copy of this document, nope, that can be disabled. So that's another new feature for us. All right. Let's head back up and see where we left off there. Yeah, some of these other ones aren't really big, but I know a few people got nervous when they saw this one, so I'm just going to explain it. We really won't go into it too much detail. Google sent out an email saying that they were deprecating web hosting support in Google Drive, and I got a couple of emails from people saying, what does this mean? Is there a problem here? Not at all, not at all. It used to be that people were allowed to use Google Drive to host their websites, like their HTML files, their actual web pages, and you could host them inside of Google Drive. Well, there's so many other options, Google Sites or, you know, WordPress or whatever that you might want to use to host a website, that it wasn't getting used a whole lot. So they're turning that off. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't like have files in Drive that you're linking into your site. That's perfectly fine. You can have a Google site and you can link in Google Docs from your Drive. You can link in PDFs from your Drive. You can link in images from your Drive. You just can't store HTML files in Drive anymore and serve them up like web pages. I don't think this is going to affect pretty much anybody, but I didn't want people to get worried because they were getting these emails saying this is being turned off and they didn't know if that was a problem. So pretty much no, you don't really need to worry about that. Some of these are smaller things. We'll skip down through a couple of these. Where we get into a lot of stuff was September 2nd. They dropped the mother load on us. So Google had a wonderful back to school release of tons and tons of new features here. So again, we'll take a look at these, and I'd love to hear from you guys. If you have used any of these, if you've done anything with these, I'd love to get your feedback. I've tried to play with all of them. I've you know, messed around with them, but there's probably a lot of things here that I haven't had a chance to get really deep into. So one of the first things is Google now has voice typing built into Docs. For many, many months here, if people asked about this, I would have been pointing them to an add-on called speech recognition, and that's what we were using for a long time. So if you went to add-ons and speech recognition and you loaded that up, it gave you this add-on where you could use your microphone to talk, and Google it would then, you know, take that and type it out into your document. So speech recognition, fantastic add-on. Well, turns out Google has finally baked that right into your Google Docs. So if I come here and if I go up to Tools and I choose Voice Typing, it'll open up this little floating microphone that if I click on it, it'll now listen to what I say and it will start typing it out. Let's try that out. This is just a test, period. And there we go. As simple as that. It is fast. It is very accurate. Seems to work really well. You can say period. You can say comma. You can say new line. You can say new paragraph. It'll understand those as well. Anybody play with this yet? It's pretty slick. So this would be a really nice way, again, for students who have a difficult time typing, or young students who just need to get their thoughts out and not worry so much about, you know, spelling and typing. It could be good for those of us that are multitasking or just want to get our thoughts out without having to type it up. So very, very nice.
Where do you say it was under?
That is under tools. Tools and voice. Now, if you don't see it yet, it is being rolled out. So it's possible, I mean, it's very, very new. It is possible that it may not have made it out to your domain yet. So I was at another school the other day, and exact same thing. They did not see it yet. So it is on its way if you don't have it yet. All right. Now we talked about the research tool being added to Android version of Docs. All right. Another new thing is what they call see new changes in Docs. So let's say I take the document we're in right now, our agenda. Let's grab that. And let me pop over to our my Spark account. And let me go ahead and open up the agenda in my Spark account. Notice, give it a second here to open. It should pop up for us here. There we go. Up here in the top, you now see a blue button that says See New Changes. Anytime you have access to a Google document and somebody has made a change to it since the last time you were in it, when you open it back up, it'll now have a See New Changes link at the top. That if you come in and click on that, it'll open up a little window where it'll show you how many things have changed since the last time you opened it. And it'll say 11, in this case, 11 edits. And I can use these little arrows to go down and say, aha, Anthony typed that in. Eric changed those numbers, okay? And Eric typed in, this is just a test. And Anthony threw in a link down here. And it looks like we've got a comment put in here. And as I keep going down, I can see all of the changes that have been made. So this is really nice because I know a lot of times people love using the revision history tool. It's fantastic. But this just makes it so easy to catch just what's different. Just since the last time that I looked at this, what changes got made. So this doesn't replace revision history. It's just a nice add-on on top of that to allow you to quickly see who did what just since the last time you were in the document. So very, very nice.
It's just there.
It's just there. It is just there. You're right. Nothing new needs to be installed for it. And again, I can't guarantee everything I'm showing you is live on your domain yet, so because sometimes, you know, things do take a while to roll out. But these are all new official things. You don't have to do anything other than just let them show up. So what's going to happen again is anytime you open up a document, if somebody else has made a change since the last time you opened it, you'll now have a link at the top that will say, you know, see changes, you know, and it'll let you see what has changed since the last time you were in the document. Very nice. All right, let's keep going. If I can find, I got too many windows here. Okay, all right. Next up. A new version of Forms. What the heck? They're rolling out a new version of Forms. Has anybody played with it yet? No, not at all. Okay, well, I love Google Forms. Okay, I mean, anybody knows me, I use it all the time. Love it, love it, love it. It's one of the most common things we train on, how to use Google Forms for online assessments, how to do so many things with it. I had no idea they were releasing a new version of Forms because they just did it. Anthony, how long ago? What, 2 years ago?
Less than 2 years.
It had to have been within 2 years.
I'd say about 18 months.
You know, they rolled out a new version of Forms already that got us to where we're at now. Well, guess what? We're getting another new version of Forms. So if I go to my drive and if I go ahead and launch Google Forms. I'm currently testing out the new version. You don't have to. I mean, you can pop between the two. You can still use the old version. There it is. This is the new version of Forms. So first of all, it looks a lot different. Most of the features are identical. They really are. I mean, they really are pretty much the same thing. There, I'll show you what is different. But the big thing is just the layout. They're going with that new material design where everything has this new sort of a look and feel to it. So if I were to come in here to work on this form, I can find most of the stuff I usually find. They're just not in the same place anymore. So up here, I can put in my title. I can put in my description. Whoops, like normal. And if I come down here to my question, you know, I can type in my question. I can switch what type of a question it is. Now notice, it is still, they're calling this an early release. It is not done yet. So they're just saying, hey, if you want to play with it, if you want to try it out, that's fine. But notice, you've got your normal things, short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkbox, drop down, scale, grid. At the moment, grayed out is date and time. So those, for whatever reason, they don't have them done yet. So not everything works quite yet. So date and time is not an option for you yet. But all your other normal question types are there. You still can duplicate questions. You can delete questions. You can make something required or not. You can come to the little dots here and do the hint text. You cannot do data validation yet. That also has not made it into the new version. And I use that a lot to say, make it be an email address or make sure that it you know, fits within a certain parameter as when people submit their data. So data validation is not turned on yet either, okay? If you want to add new questions, you've got the little plus button over here to add a new question. The button here is to add a title and a description, insert an image, insert a video, or put in a section break. So all of those things that you could get to in the past now are over here on the side where you would get to them. Other things that are a little different when it comes to the themes for it. If you go up to the little palette icon in the top right, you can choose a color palette if you want, or you can go down to the button that looks like an image, and this gets you to all of the themes. And there's way, way, way more themes than we had before. It's got, you know, loads and loads and loads. These are all those themes that you typically would see inside of like Hangouts if you're creating an event. These show up in a lot of different Google services. So I can come in here and pick my birthday cats. Got to get birthday cats. Got to get those. So I could grab birthday cats. So the theming is a little bit different. Now, there's not an option that I have found yet to customize the theme. So that they still need to build in as well. I see how I can pick the theme, but I haven't found any option yet to do all of the little tweaking with changing the fonts and those kind of things. Let me see, what else do we have here? We've got our settings here with the gear. This is where you control things like how many times they can submit, whether they can edit their responses, whether you show the progress bar, and then the shuffle the questions, that appears to not be enabled yet either. So it looks like they're still working on that. So those normal settings that are typically at the top and the bottom of your form now are all in the settings button up here. Let me see, anything else to mention real quick. Here's your normal settings up here as far as making a copy, getting the pre-filled link, adding your collaborators, that sort of stuff. When it goes to responses though, this is a little different. With responses, it will now collect all of your responses on this page, okay? And it will make graphs and charts for you automatically. So when you go to the responses tab, it'll show you what used to be what you would normally see as that show summary of responses from the spreadsheet. It'll actually do that here. You'll get charts and graphs showing you an analysis of the data as it came in. You can still, though, of course, send your responses to a spreadsheet. It now, though, has a button that forces you to do that. There's a Create Spreadsheet button. So if you want this form to feed into a spreadsheet, you've got to, well, I haven't named my form yet. Let me name it real quick. Test. There we go. You have to hit the Create Spreadsheet button, and it says, would you like to make a new spreadsheet? This used to be automatic in the old forms. You tell it once to do it, and it would never bug you again. At the moment, it looks like you have to tell it for every form that you want it to create a spreadsheet for you. Once you do that, then you've got a spreadsheet generated for that form. So that's a little different. Other than that, I'd say the other big difference is there's no add-ons yet. You know, there's I haven't found anything in here where we can turn on add-ons, and those are phenomenal for forms. You got add-ons like Choice Eliminator and Form Limiter and Form Values and all of those. At the moment, they're not in here. Now, keep in mind, I guarantee you all that stuff's going to be there and probably more things that we've been asking for. This is an early beta release, but probably be a good idea for you to play around with it, get a little bit of comfort level with it so that when it does come around, it won't be such a shock to you.
How can you get it? I'm still showing my old forms. When I open up a form, I'm still getting the old version.
I think I clicked something in there to switch over to the new one, and now I'm going to forget.
I tried to go to help, and there's a what's new, and it says get started, but I push get started, and I still go to the.
Well, I did it the other day, so now I don't remember how I did it. Let me see. I don't know. I don't know. We need to figure that answer out. How did I get into it? I thought it was because I opened up forms and it said, you know, something like try the new forms, and I clicked it. That's what I remember, but I could be completely misremembering that.
And also, if we have an old form, like we use ours for conference sign up, and so we have to do the choice eliminator, that will still continue to work even.
Oh yeah, they're not going to force anybody over into the new version until everything is completely compatible, and so this is definitely early. This is not something that is ready to be official yet. So it's just sort of a beta access to it right now.
The last one came out in January 2013.
Yeah. So 2 years, a little over 2 years. All right. So new version of forms. Now I'm hoping what this means is we're going to get some of the things we've been asking for, you know, some of the other neat new options like, for example, there was something I read in the little help information here about forms where it said something like, when inserting an image, you cannot connect an image to a question. Well, we already knew that, but then they had the word yet at the end of it. So I wonder if that means in the new version, we can now, when we add images or videos, we can actually attach them to the questions so they don't get separated when you do shuffling the questions or things like that. So those little hints of things make me wonder if we're going to get some really neat new features with forms, not just the new look, but that this is going to usher in a bunch of new features too. So we'll hope for it. What else did they dump on us? A lot of stuff. They also dumped new templates. Now, has anybody used the old template gallery? Does that ring a bell for anybody? The old template gallery for Google Docs? They've had a template gallery for a long time, and they really weren't giving it much love. It was like, you know, you couldn't find it. There was no easy way to get to it. It was getting harder and harder to locate it. And you always wondered, well, are they doing something? Are they, you know, is there a plan to get rid of this old template gallery? And it appears that that's the case. So they have now rolled out new template galleries for docs, sheets, and slides. So basically, if you're inside of a doc, all you have to do is go File, New, from Template. And in the past, this used to take you to the old template gallery. Now it takes you to the new template gallery. Now there's a little link up here. You can still visit the old templates gallery to find templates you've created or used in the past. So it still exists. There's a link to it. But you now have the new template gallery where basically they're creating all of these pre-made docs, in this case, like resumes, letters, project proposals, informal letters, business letters, class notes, lesson plans, meeting notes, things like that. And you can use these to just say, okay, I want to do a newsletter. So I'm going to grab this newsletter here, click it, and give it a second, and it will create me a new Google Doc based off of that template. And so now I could go in and I could just edit then that to fill in my information. So they've got templates for docs. They've got templates for all the other things too. So for example, if we, let me find another one here. Let me go to Google Sheets, show you those. If I go to Google Sheets and I go File, New from Template, you'll now see that we've got things like a to-do list. Nobody here needs a to-do list, do they? No. You guys are looking for things to do, right? I saw Jessica's this morning. It's pretty long. Budgets, calendars, travel planners, wedding planners, team rosters, purchase orders, invoices, attendance, grade book. And so again, you can go in, make a copy of any of these, and it'll let you go ahead and start filling those in. So they are releasing a bunch of cool templates. Now, who knows how many more will get added? Hopefully a lot. Hopefully this is something that will really grow over time. We'll do slides really quick and show you that because the old template gallery had tons. I mean, like thousands of templates in it. So hopefully that the same will be true here. If I go File, New from Template for Slides, you'll see we get a bunch of different ones like photo albums, wedding, portfolio, student certificate, science project, field trip, case study, on and on and on down the line. All right? Yes?
So you know how in the old view, you would see the generic templates and then you would see any district ones.
That is correct.
Created. Will that be the same, do you know?
That is a great question. That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, this is what you're talking about is the old template gallery. So if I click here to show you the old template gallery, this is the old template gallery, okay? And actually, let me pop over to my Spark account. This is my personal account, so it won't see that. Let me jump over here. There we go. Okay, so this is what the old template gallery looked like and still does, where you had public templates and then you had your district's templates. So I hope they're not abandoning that. I hope that with the new template approach that again these old things will get transferred over, because what you could do is you could go to the template gallery, you could say submit a template, and it would allow you to pick anything off of your drive and add it to your district's gallery of available templates. It was just another nice way to get out a common lesson plan form or a common, book report form or whatever you needed to put out there for people. And the public templates, like I said, had tons of stuff in there. I mean, there's loads and loads and loads of public templates, and you could narrow it down by the different types. You could search. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. I've not got any good idea. But if it follows what Google usually does, usually they don't make the new thing the only option until everything from the old one has been incorporated. So I'm going to hope that we don't lose some of those features as we move forward. Or if we lose the features, hopefully they have an alternative option, like a different way they want us to be able to handle that in the future. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to close out a few windows because I'm probably going to stress out my computer so much in a bit here that
Eric, I found how you get the new form.
You did. Excellent. Well, let me take a look at that then. I'm going to close. Sorry, guys. I'm going to close out a couple of windows here just because I've got so much open here. I'm afraid that before too long, my computer is just going to have a hemorrhage on me and die. So I'm going to close out a few of these things. Okay. So what'd you find out?
I put it in there. You had to opt in now. You click on from a form. I went to form help and I just typed new form in the search, and then it was try the new version of Google Forms, and you just popped up and accepted.
All right.
Now it pops up the new one.
Now, do you know how to get back to the old? So you cut off the branch you were sitting on.
Yep.
Well, I did too, because, well, I mean, my guess is I can open an old form that I've had in the past, and I'm sure it would still, it would still be fine. I don't know if I've got any old ones real handy here. Here's a sample quiz. Yeah, I mean, here's the old version. So the old version still exists.
Can you go file?
Can I go file, new form? What's it do? No! Oh no, I'm stuck. I'm sure there's an option. I'm sure there's something I can do in here to switch back to the old. I couldn't imagine there'd be no way to do that. Help. Yeah. So that's the question of the day. So Anthony or somebody get on it.
I'm not touching the new forms until.
Well, you can find out how to get us back. So, I mean, I guess I could go file, make a copy of an old form and then change it.
Never step out.
Well, what happens if I make a copy of it? Does it make a copy in the new version? No, that's the old version still. So I could make a copy and then gut it. That's kind of silly. All right. So anyway, we know how to get there. We just don't know the path back yet. So, oh, somebody may not. Okay, we got some folks still typing in there. Thanks. If anybody has an answer to that, we want to know how to get back.
Is the new template,
Click on the running man in the lower left corner. All right, let's try that. So we'll do a new form. And the running man is a great Schwarzenegger movie. Hopefully you all appreciate that. I did not even see him down there. Let's click on that. And what happens? That's it. Really? Oh, so it's like he's going back. It's like he's running back.
Going to the left instead of the right.
Oh, thank you. 5 bonus points, whoever put that in there. 5 bonus points. Save those up. They'll be very valuable later.
For a new non-intuitive.
You have something that says, go back to the old forms. Google, they develop awesome things, but yeah, we've sometimes teased them for not being as intuitive as they need to be on some things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, good job. All right, so that's it for new forms. That's it for templates and doc sheets and slides. You're welcome. There you go. Very good. We appreciate that. Oh, it was Nikki Sattler. Of course, it was Nikki. Who else? Thank you. I'll give you a star next time I see you. That's great. All right. Next thing, very, very small but worth mentioning. Google Fonts. Love Google Fonts. We've always talked a lot about how nice it is to have a collection of hundreds and hundreds of web fonts available for you to use. So for example, if I were to come here and if I were to highlight this, how did our lettering got off here? Let me fix our lettering real quick. There we go. If I were to highlight this text here, and if I were to go up to my little font drop down here in the top, normally Docs comes with just a small handful of fonts to begin with, but there's a More Fonts button you can click that lets you browse through literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fonts that you can click on and add to your font list. Well, that's fantastic. That's always been great. So I can come here and I can say, let's turn this one into Happy Monkey. Okay, so I can make that like Happy Monkey font. In the past, that was great, wonderful, fantastic. However, if you said, I wanted to go file, download as a Word doc, well, unfortunately, you would lose the fonts when you turn it into a Word doc unless your computer already had those fonts installed, because that's how Word works. You have to have the fonts installed. Well, they've now changed it so that if you export a doc or a slideshow as a Word document or a PowerPoint slideshow, it preserves the fonts. It embeds them in there and sends them with it. So once again, fantastic. Makes it easier to get things into different formats if you want, and you don't lose the fonts when you do that. Because that's one of the beauties of Google's fonts is they're web fonts. So anybody who opens up my document, it looks exactly the same. Now this always worked for PDFs. If you went file download as a PDF, that worked. It embedded them in the PDF. The new thing is Word docs and PowerPoints now do it as well. All right. How about a little Sheets love? Anthony, you happy about this?
Yeah, I'm happy. I am thrilled. That's made my day. Plus, if you notice on 13, I've actually made my entire summer. So
okay,
it sort of ties into that. But during the summer, they made a bunch of subtle changes. I don't remember exactly when they made them, but for someone that's used to using Excel, The number of add-ons that are available now will make you be able to do all the things the way you used to do them plus some.
So when it comes to that, you're saying there's a ton new add-ons for Sheets. You said there's now over 150 add-ons.
I stopped counting it
All
down.
right. And you said they also sometime in the summer add the ability to change the color of the tabs.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Well, a couple of other things they did is they added the Explore option and they added partial cell formatting. So if I pop over here to, not this one, let me find where I've got it. I know I got too many windows open. Here it is. So here's a little spreadsheet. A couple of things that are new. One is what they call the Explore option. So if you have any spreadsheet that has any kind of data, it could be something you created yourself, it could be from a form that fed into the spreadsheet. There is now in the bottom right-hand corner a little button that says Explore. If you click it, what it does is it sort of makes some graphs and charts that it sort of just comes up on its own by looking at your data and trying to say, okay, what might you want to know about your data? So it realized that I had highs and lows here, so it made a double bar graph to show me those. It also did a pie chart, then it did one just for the highs and one just for the lows. And it also gave me some statistics like Sunday had the lowest value and of a -3 and the lowest value for high of a 15. And so basically it does a whole bunch of statistical analysis and just on the fly graphs and charts for you. Now, how well it works, I don't know. I mean, I've played with it a little bit so far. It seems to do a pretty nice job, but it's just another way for you to not have to build your own charts. You still can, of course, but the Explore option will give you some really quick charts and graphs on your data. Have you played with it, Anthony?
I've not played with it so much, but I just want to remind people, if you would highlight down through a column, most people don't realize there's another feature that was added about a year ago that gives you a quick way to count, average, sum, etc.
Sure. Yeah. If you like highlight all the words here, it'll count and it'll say there are 7 words there. If you take the numbers and you highlight all the numbers, it'll give you lots of options. So here you'll see it'll give you the sum, the average, the minimum, the maximum, the count, and it'll count up how many numbers are there. So that is just kind of buried down in the bottom corner there. You don't see it until you do something, but if you highlight stuff, suddenly that's available and you've got all of those statistics ready at your
You can impress your friends and family, but please remember it does not add any formulas or functions. So if you want to go back and get that again, you have to go through the same process. It doesn't actually alter your sheet, just alters your view.
Yep. All right. The other thing that we mentioned that they did is now partial cell formatting. It used to be if you clicked on a cell, you could make things bold or not bold or italics or not italics, but you had to do it to the whole cell. Now you can go in and just highlight certain words in the cell and say, let's make high red and let's make low blue. And you can change inside of the cell just certain things. So. Yes.
It's not new, but a lot of people don't realize that if you want to put a line break in, if you click where you want to put your line break in, and then hold down the control key and press the enter key, it will include a line break in your cell.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that's been there for a long time, but most people don't realize how it happens.
Yeah. So Sheets getting some love.
Yay.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Let me see.
Hey, Eric,
Yes,
what
please.
is Explore? How did you get to this?
Sure. How do you get to the Explorer? Basically, you just open up a sheet and it's just there. So I guess if it's not showing up for you, then you may not have it yet. But if I just open up a sheet, I don't have to do anything. It's just there. It's in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, so it's very possible. A lot of the stuff we're showing may still be rolling out to folks, but you've got a heads up now, so now you know what's coming.
Is that true with the templates as well, the new ones? Because I'm not.
Very well could be. And by the way, if you guys have any question as to, well, why do some people get stuff earlier than others? You have control over. No, we have no special anything. If you go into your admin console, you can control your release cycle as to rapid release or the scheduled release or the I'm afraid of technology release. I don't think there is such a one. But is it under company profile? Is that where we've got it at? Where's it at? Yeah. So company profile, And then, so I'll show you that again. So in the admin panel, if you go to, you get back to that so you can see it from the start. I jumped ahead kind of quick there. From the admin console, if you go to company profile, you'll see profile, change your name, language, time zone, set feature release policies, and other organization-wide settings. So if I come in here, you will see if I scroll down that I have rapid release or scheduled release. I'll zoom in a bit so you guys can see that a little bit better there. And I've got us on rapid release. So I see things immediately. You may not want to do that though. I mean, rapid release, basically it throws it out there as soon as it's available. You know, there's no problem being on scheduled release. That way you can stay up to date on what new things are coming out before they actually do get rolled out. Now, even with that said, that doesn't mean everybody gets things on the same day. Even still, there is a staggered rollout of stuff. It's not always like immediately at the same time. But that's where you can switch if you want your district to get things quicker. Although there's a good reason to be on schedule, just so that you don't freak out all of your teachers and students without
Can
having
you do
it.
it for some?
No, that's what you cannot.
No, it's not by organization.
Not by OU.
Unfortunately, this is domain wide. Yeah.
And no matter which of the two you choose, I guarantee that you will have staff members come up to you and tell you to please have Google change it back the other way.
Yeah. You know,
So
so
there's no winning.
all right. All right. Oh, and while we were in slides, I probably shouldn't have left it. The last big bomb they dropped on us that day was new themes in slides. So in addition to templates, we also have new themes. So if I go into slides, and if I go to pick my theme, you'll see over here, we now have new themes compared to the old themes we used to have. And they're very nice, really cool themes that have a more variety than what we saw before. A lot of them really remind me of what was that website with all of the Google slides, themes, Slides Carnival. Slidescarnival.com. If you've never used slidescarnival.com, it's a free website with tons of pre-made themes for your slides. It's really nice. I use these a lot. They call them templates. I mean, they are templates, but and so they've got all of these different templates with all these themes. They got page after page after page of them. Seriously, they got a ton of them. And they're really nice. Well, these remind me a lot. I wonder if they in any way connected with the Slides Carnival people, because these look really similar to those kinds.
Many options as the Slides Carnival, like
No.
in the layouts and stuff, because in Slides Carnival you get like 25 different
Now,
layouts.
that's the other thing. They've added a couple new. So here, if you go to your slide and you want to change the layout, we've picked up some new layouts that we didn't used to have,
but
okay?
not as many.
No, we used to just have title and body, title and 2 columns, title only, and caption.
They basically
Now we've got big number, we've got main point, we've got section title and description. So it's actually pretty nice. So if you were to pick like a theme, and if I were to go in and switch this over to a different layout, you'll see they got some new layouts that we did not have before. So not only do we have new themes, but we have new layouts, but nowhere as much as the Slides Carnival one. You're right. I mean, they've got
I mean, I think it was 25.
like 25 different, you know, pre-made pages. Not only that, but they've got clip art built into it on the last slide you can pull from. Slides Carnival is great. So you definitely want to consider using that in conjunction with these sort of things. And again, that's just slidescarnival.com.
Now, even though they did provide some off-the slides, there's two things Eric and I are waiting for, and they didn't come out this time. And we're still waiting for add-ons, and I'm still waiting for the ability to insert a sheet into a slide. So hopefully by the next time, by the end of the year.
Well, I'm in danger of not having all my predictions
I
come
know.
true. When we did last December's meeting, which we'll do again, you know, here in a few months, we did our predictions.
Yes.
And we'll review, see how well I did. I did pretty good, but one of them I said was that we would have add-ons for slides, and that hasn't happened yet.
And embed sheets. Those are two things I'm waiting for.
Now, most people want voice narration. That's what most people want. They want to be able to record
Yeah,
their
they want
voice.
sound.
Yeah.
I'm not
So-
a flashy person. I'm just
Yeah.
sort of boring.
Well, anyway, Slides Carnival. If that's not in the handout, you put it in. Thank you very much.
Sheet is worth many voices.
Thank you very much. All right. All right. So before we move off of that, we got a couple more things. I know, guys, this is mostly updates, but it's great stuff. I mean, it really is. Any questions, comments on any of those so far? Voice typing, see new changes, new version of forms, templates, explore option. Anybody play with any of these and wanted to give any feedback on how it's gone for you so far? Or any questions on that? All right. All right. Well, let's keep heading down here. And again, I apologize. I guess I shouldn't. I mean, this is good stuff. Normally, this is like half of the meeting, and then the other half is much more questions and answers and show and tell. We got a lot of catching up to do, and honestly, that's still not even cheating and going into the rest of the summer. That's just last month. Okay, so we'll wrap this up and give some time for Q&A and show and tell. Normally, we have a lot more time for that. So what have we not hit yet? We talked about the new extension to share links with the classroom. Blah, 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 blah. Most of that's, oh, here's kind of a fun one. Google added a new search feature called I'm Feeling Curious. Now, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Google I'm Feeling Lucky thing in the past. But now, instead of I'm feeling lucky, if you actually type in I'm feeling curious, what it does is it brings up a little fact, an interesting trivia item, something of interest. And in this case, are there more chickens than people in the world? In fact, there are approximately 19 billion chickens in the world. That's almost 3 per person. So I don't know what to take from that. I don't know if that means if they ever unionize, we're in trouble. I don't know if that means lots more chickens to eat. But if you come down here and you click on Ask Another Question, it'll refresh that. How many dog years are in 1 human year? Or how many federal prisons are there in the United States? Or what year was the first lighthouse built? It's fascinating, honestly. If you like this kind of stuff, I'm Feeling Curious will generate some really neat things, and you can go down some rabbit holes off of this.
Eric, this is one of the things I demonstrated last year that some people did not have available to them. I showed them the little search roulette at the bottom, I called it.
Yeah.
And some people said, well, I don't have it. Well, now it's available plus many more additional things. So that little search rule, I call it the roulette of search at the bottom down there. Instead of I'm feeling lucky, you can change your
yeah, so now I'm feeling curious. And that search,
there's also an I'm bored.
That'll get you here, and you'll get some pretty neat stuff.
There's an I'm bored.
Really?
Oh yeah, go back. There's a bunch of other ones.
I'm bored?
I'm bored.
Does it go to the same thing with
Very
curious?
similar. Actually,
No. Oh no. Oh, you're talking about on the search page.
Search thing where it says I'm lucky. When you typed in your I'm bored.
Now I think they took that away though.
No, it's still there.
The ability to switch to the different ones?
Yes. I'm bored pops right up. I'm bored pops up.
So if I typed in I'm bored?
Yep. It still should have popped up. I'm not sure why. They've not been consistent in this. This has changed. I've demonstrated this every time I'm going to change this.
This just took me to a search.
No, they've changed it again.
All right.
So it's still in flux.
All right. But if you type in I'm feeling curious. Hey, a neat way to learn. Anthony, you're all about learning something new every day. That'll do it. Type in I'm feeling curious, and you will learn something new every day.
Those are the kind of things I really like learning. While you were there on the search page, I just want to mention something else. I've really noticed how much more that say, okay, Google works much better than it had before. This just seems to be working great now.
If you don't know how to turn that on, that's in your settings up here in the top right. If you go to your little hot dog button, or I like the pancake button, go to the pancake button up here in the top right. And if you go down to settings and right there under search, let me zoom in so you can see it. You can turn on or off that option. And if you have it turned on, all you have to do is say,
open a new tab first.
Well,
if you already have one.
Yeah, I've got one open here. Okay, Google, what's the weather like?
It's 70 degrees and mostly sunny in Canton.
Hey, that's nice.
It even says Canton properly now. It used to say Canton all the time.
It's even got it pronouncing right. So that's not new, but
it's really improved.
They're improving it.
Oh, it's great.
All right. All right, let's keep on heading down here. Now, I promised we wouldn't do a whole bunch outside of this last month, but there were a couple of things that Google did in June and July that fall outside of the range of our normal month, but I think we definitely need to at least mention so they don't get lost in the summer months there. One is they have released some new settings in the admin console to let you restrict YouTube for your domain. Now, I think this is really important for people to understand what this is all about. There used to be a program called YouTube for Schools, and the idea was you could register for this program, and what Google would do is they would give you a special code that somebody in your district would set up on your domain controllers, so that anytime a YouTube request goes out from your school, this special code would get stuck on the end of it, and it would let YouTube know, oh, that's such and such a school requesting this YouTube video. Because they could identify who you were, you could then apply filtering to the YouTube videos. You could say, only let educational videos be shown, or only let this group of whitelisted videos be shown, or whatever the case. Or if you're a teacher, you can show anything. If you're a student, you can only see these videos. And that program existed for many years. Well, they have incorporated it into the admin console now. So you no longer have to go through setting up YouTube for Schools separately. So if I go to my admin console, and if I go to my apps, and then if I go to YouTube, so I'll go to my apps, I'll go to my additional Google services, I'll go down to YouTube, and then from YouTube, you'll now see I have my content settings here to restrict YouTube content for my domain. And what I can do is I can come in here and I can set up my network to restrict YouTube for the users on my network. It's the same thing as before. They're going to give you a special code. Somebody techie in your district going to have to put that onto your servers. But once you've done that, you can then do all of those sort of controls I was talking about. Now, by turning this on by default, everybody gets access to all of the educational videos that Google has vetted as good. So hundreds of thousands of educational videos are already whitelisted by default. But you can go in and you can approve videos. You can set up people to be approvers so the teachers can go in and approve other videos. And then with this turned on, basically, it gives you that middle ground where it's not, okay, we're totally turning on YouTube for everybody, or that's it, no YouTube, we're blocking it, we're turning it off for the district. This gives you a middle ground where you can say, excellent, we can finally use YouTube, we can take advantage of the hundreds of thousands of educational videos, but it's going to block everything that's not approved for our students. So schools that have not yet turned on YouTube, please investigate this. I think this is a great option to allow you to take advantage of the wonderful things YouTube has to offer.
I understand that not every administrative panelist had this rolled out yet.
Okay.
So even though it came out during the summer, I'm still hearing some chatter out on the mailing list that not everyone has had it come up yet. So it should be, if it isn't there yet, it will be coming to your domain soon.
Is there a way to blacklist instead of whitelisting?
My understanding is it's the opposite. It is whitelisting. Everything is blocked unless you approve it. You know, I mean, there's, yeah, I know. It's, I don't know if they would ever make that change and go that other way and say, you know, because the problem, yeah, it's tough. There's 4 billion YouTube views a day. You know, there's so much, you know, it's insane how much is out there. So the method they've gone with is whitelisting. So basically saying, here's a pre-made collection of hundreds of thousands of educational videos that you just automatically get. And by the way, if you're not sure about that, use the little help link. It'll take you out there and it'll tell you more about it, like what content is available. And it says a large number of videos are already available. These are the ones that they've approved. And then it goes on to how do you approve videos? How do you flag ones that shouldn't have been approved? And on down the line. All right. So that, I hope, will help some folks who have been anti-YouTube, not because they're against it, but because they're worried about inappropriate stuff. It's a great service for your schools. Another awesome thing is auto-completing the default domain for Chromebooks. So this got rolled out along with a few other Chromebook updates this summer. But if I go to my admin console, and if we head over to device management, And from device management, if we go to Chrome management, and from Chrome management, if we go to device settings, inside of the device settings, we can now scroll down, and there's a section under the sign-in restriction where it says autocomplete domain. And you can say, I want to use the domain below for autocompleting. And so I've done that. I put in apps.spark.org. And so what that means is if somebody fires up a Chromebook from our domain here, when the login screen comes up, they don't have to type in the @apps.spark.org. They can just type in their username, hit next, and log in. If you want to type in something different, you're still allowed to. I can still type, unless I blocked it. I mean, if I come up here and say, no, you know, it has to be whatever, that's fine. But if I haven't blocked it, I could still type in erickurtz@gmail.com, and it will just remove temporarily that autofill. This is wonderful, though, for kids, especially at schools that maybe have a really long domain. You got one, Jessica? Yeah, brownlocalschools.com. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. So now, as long as they can type in their username, they can hit, then they can just move on. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
This is nice for people who were early adopters of Google Apps, because you had this ability for about 5 to 6 years, and then it went away. And so they did finally listen in this aspect.
Yeah. Prior to Chromebooks, before Chromebooks existed, yes, you could have a unique URL that people would go to log into your Google Apps or your domain, and it would pre-fill that. We lost that when Google moved to a unified login scheme, but now with Chromebooks, we've got it back for Chromebooks at least. So, good deal. Happy about that. All right. What else was worth noting? We talked about disabling the downloading and printing. Okay, that's good. Let's catch this one. Google Drive plugin for Office. All right, now this one is kind of interesting. If you've got people that are still using Microsoft Office, which understandable, perfectly fine, no reason why they couldn't still use Office. Google is now making it a little bit easier to help them embrace the cloud. So there is a plugin that you can install, and if I follow this link here, you'll see they give you a link out to it. So right there is the Google Drive plugin for Microsoft Office, and you can go out and you can download that plugin. Okay, if you've got that plugin downloaded, let me open up Word here real quick, and I'll put Word up on the screen so you can see how this works. I've got it installed. I installed it earlier, so I've already got it here. Let me drag Word over to this screen so you can see it. Okay, so here's Word. What I can do now that I've got this installed, if I can find where I'm at here, there we go, open other documents. There we go, excellent. Notice when I go to open a document, look what shows up in my list here inside of Word. When I go to open a document, Google Drive shows up. I can open directly from my Google Drive. And so when I do that, I'm probably not signed in. Did I not sign in? Probably not. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys.
While you're signing in, do remember that this is machine specific. So it's not like the extensions and add-ons we're usually used to that install and follow us around in Chrome or follow us around in our apps. This only works if it's physically installed on the computer that you're using.
All right. So now if I go to my Google Drive and I go to open from Google Drive, it's going to give me my Google Drive. So I can now go to my Google Drive and I could open up a Word document that I have saved. I probably have one in here somewhere. I'd have to scroll for a little bit to find it. There we go. No, I don't want to open up somebody else's. That's a boot camp paper. I'll try to, no, I got too many boot camp ones. Oh, I don't want to do that. I should have had one ready already. I'm sorry.
While you're rooting through that, I forgot to mention.
Here's a new document. What's this one? Hopefully that's fine. There we go. New document. Now here's the thing. It's not just downloading a copy of it that I'm working on that's only local. Here's the awesome thing. As I come in here, I type in whatever I want to type in. When I save this, it is saving it back to my drive, okay? It's not saving it to my local hard drive. That save button is saving it to Google Drive. Not only can I open from Google Drive and it automatically saves back to it, but if I were to come in here and do a new document, If I go to save my new document, I can save it straight to Google Drive as well. And so I can save something to my Google Drive, save it to my drive, and it's saving it automatically to my Google Drive. So if you're still living with some Word and PowerPoint and Excel files that you really like to work on natively inside of Word and PowerPoint and Excel, no problem. You can do that and have the total confidence that they're being saved to your drive. So no matter where you go, you got access to them. They're backed up, they're there, and no crazy download it, make some changes to it, re-upload it. Shoot, I've got 2 copies of it now. Nope, nope, nope. It does all of that for you. So that's a free plugin for Microsoft Office. So that snuck out this summer and thought you guys might want to be aware of that. All right, another awesome thing that came out this summer is whitelisting of domains. So Google Classroom, one of the things that was a hindrance for some folks was that you could only have people in your classes if they were in the same domain as you. So you couldn't have students from a different school taking classes from a teacher in your school or vice versa. Well, you can now go into the apps control panel and you can whitelist domains. And so if I come here to my control panel and I go down to my domains, you will see whitelisted external domains. I can come in here and I can add domains that I want to whitelist. Now, if I add these domains in here, it does a couple of things for me. First of all, if the other school reciprocates, if they whitelist me as well, then in Google Classroom, their students can enroll in my classes and my students can enroll in their classes, but it has to be reciprocated. Somebody on their end has to go in and add my domain and I add their domain. And at that point, Classroom is now cross-domain. The other thing that this is useful for is when it comes to sharing files. Remember we said earlier that Google is now doing a better job of warning you when you share a file and somebody can't access it. Well, this is an extra layer of granularity that you've never had before. If you go in to your Google Apps and you go into Drive, remember, you can always go in and turn on and off whether people can share outside of your domain. So for example, you will see that I have, for the Spark domain, I have it turned on that files can be shared outside of my domain. Well, what if you had some students and you're like, okay, we'll go down to students here. And you say, you know what? I want them to be able to do that, but I'm still worried. I'm concerned. I don't want to give that much freedom. Well, instead of just saying it's off, you cannot share outside of the domain, you now have a middle ground. You can turn on the whitelisted domains. You can say whatever domains I've whitelisted, those I'm going to allow students to share with. So now it's not just all off or all on. Whitelisting can also be used for sharing documents inside and outside of your domain, as well as collaborating in Classroom.
That's very good for districts that have more than one domain.
Sure, yeah. If they set up multiple Google domains way in the past, now it's an easier way for them to share between their domains. All right, we're closing in on it. What else? Oh, and then this is just a small one, but undo send. That used to be a lab in Gmail. That lab has graduated. Now, if you go to send a Gmail message, you do have the option to undo the send within a certain amount of seconds. Now, the way it works is if you go over to Gmail and you go into the settings here, maybe, come on. Let's go to the settings here. All right. So if I go into the settings here and I scroll down, notice that in my settings, there's an undo send option in there. This used to be a lab. You had to go to labs. You had to install it from labs. Now, undo send, you can turn it on and you can choose how many seconds you're given before a message actually goes. So if I were to compose an email here, so I'll send something to my Spark account. If I go ahead and send this, I should have 10 seconds before it actually goes. Let's try it. It says sending, and right there, this message has been sent, undo. If I click undo, it brings it back. Now, did it really send it and bring it back? No, it just paused the sending. All it does is it just gives you some time before it officially sends it. It just throws it into a queue. The idea being sometimes you make a mistake and you don't realize it until you hit the send button, and then you go, oh, that's the wrong person, or I put the wrong date, or I forgot to attach, or whatever it was. And sometimes that 10 seconds is all you need to realize you made a mistake, and this allows you to fix it. So, all right, guys, we're going to switch over to questions and answers, but any comments or anything about anything we missed here on what's new in Google? There have been a load of new things. Really excited about all of those. Does anybody have any feedback, questions, comments before we move on? All right. All right. So we do have a little bit of Q&A here. Let's see if there's anything we can help with. First one says, anybody having issues with the Office editing for docs, sheets, and slides extension not working, not opening files? That's from Nikki. I asked if it was DocX, XLX, and PPTX files, because I know it has to be those. Yes, it looks as if the extension starts to open, the gray circle appears, and then the page is blank. Interesting. No, I don't think I've had any problems with it. Has anybody here had any issues with using the Office editing for doc sheets and slides extension? You have not used it. Okay.
I haven't. I don't.
You just don't use it? Basically, what this is this is a phenomenal extension that allows you to leave files as Word documents, as PowerPoints, as Excel spreadsheets, not convert them, and still edit them inside of Drive. So, for example, if I open up my Drive here, and if I'll just drop something in here real quick. Let me I'll just grab a file here to drop in here real quick. Let me grab one out of here. So sample Word doc. Here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to drop a Word doc in here real quick. Give that a second to upload. What you'll notice, maybe, come on, you can do it. Uploading. Come on. All right, there it goes. Okay, so here we go. So there's my, let me zoom in a bit. So there's my sample Word doc right there that I uploaded. Normally, if I didn't have this extension installed, if I double clicked on my sample Word doc, normally it would just give me a view-only version of it. I couldn't edit it. I would just see a view-only version. I could, of course, right-click on it and open it with Google Docs and turn it into a Google Doc. That was option 2. Option 1 is leave it view only. Option 2 was turn it into a Google Doc. Well, with this extension, you've got option 3. Watch this. When I go to open up my sample Word doc, assuming the extension works properly, it will it will open it in a light version of Word. And you see there's a W up here in the top right. It did not turn this into a Google Doc. It left it as a DocX. It's still a Word document. And anything I do to it, any changes I make to it, are actually being saved in still a Word format. It's never converting it out. It's leaving it as a PowerPoint or an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document. I have not had the issue, though, of it not working. I know Nikki said she's seen it not working. I have not. Now, my first instinct would be to uninstall and reinstall the extension. It is a very large extension. It takes a while to install it. But what you could do is you could go up to your settings in the top of Chrome, go down to more tools, and then go over to extensions. And if you go to settings, more tools, and extensions, it'll bring up all the extensions you've got installed. If you scroll down and find it, should be Office Editing. Yeah, I've got a million extensions. I know. I have an extension problem. All right, there it is. So there's Office Editing for doc sheets and slides. I would suggest deleting it and reinstalling it and seeing if that clears it up. But if you want the extension and you don't have it, it's just called Office Editing for doc sheets and slides. So if you went to the Chrome Web Store, you would be able to find that in there pretty quickly. So if you just type in office editing, that'll probably be enough. Whoops, if I could spell office editing. Office editing. And there's the extension right there. So if anybody needs the extension, I can throw it in the agenda. This is the link to it. Extension link is that. So unfortunately, no. Sorry, Nikki. I do not know. I have not seen that happen. I would try removing it and putting it back in, but other than that, no. It's been working well for me. I've not had any problems with it. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Is there a setting to automatically notify those sharing your Google Doc that you have made changes? So an email that says a change has been made. I'm not aware of any. Anthony, do you know of any way to notify somebody that a change has been made, like sending a notification?
There are third-party tools, but I do not know of any.
You think there's third-party tools? Okay. Yeah, the only thing.
Paid third-party tools, no free tools.
Right. The only thing I know of is if you're in Drive, you can turn on the little button over here, which is your details button. And that shows you activity and it shows you details. And that activity can show you, like, without opening the file, if changes have been made to it. But that's not what they're asking. I mean, that's not going to alert you. You still have to go in and turn on the little button over here to show the details. Otherwise, no, I'm not aware of anything that tells you when a change has been made. I know for sites you can do that. You can subscribe to site changes. So for Google Sites, when Anthony changes his page, I get an email telling me he's changed the page. Same for me to him. But unfortunately, no, I'm not aware of anything that alerts you when somebody has made a change. Now, spreadsheets, though, you can do it in spreadsheets. There's the notification rules in spreadsheets. So you can do that. And if somebody's not aware of that, if I have a spreadsheet, you can go to tools and the notification rules. Zoom in here for you. From a spreadsheet, I can go to tools and notification rules, and I can say notify me anytime changes are made and notify me right away. So there is an option for spreadsheets and there's an option for sites. I do not know any way to do that for docs or slides or any other ones.
Companies, but they're not free. They're not inexpensive.
Okay, so I am sorry, I am not aware of any way for a Google Doc to do that. Where do we sign up for the developer's calendar? Oh, I mean to get notifications of what is coming out? Oh, I'll have to throw the link in there. Yeah, I subscribed for that a long time ago, and I've got it embedded in my Google Calendar. So when I look at my Google Calendar, I've got the Google release calendar in there as well. We'll have to throw the link in there to it. I think if we do what's new with Google Apps, we might be able to find it. Yeah, what's new.googleapps.com is the website. And there it is. You can just get it from here. Here's the calendar. So right there. Okay. So this is the website. Throw it in here. That's the website you want. What's new.googleapps.com. And then from there, there's a ton of stuff, but you'll see rapid release, scheduled release, training resource, and other. And if you come to this calendar, instead of just viewing the calendar, you can subscribe to updates there, but you can also go down to the bottom and click the little plus Google Calendar button, and you can add this Google Calendar to your Google Calendars. So you'll actually have it superimposed in your Google Calendars when you go in to look at it. So what's new.googleapps.com. That's where you need to go. All of a sudden, all my teachers that were members of Classroom Teachers Group disappeared, and I'm having to approve them again. Is this a known issue? No, I have not heard that happening. In Google Classroom, the way it works is for somebody to be a classroom teacher, they have to be a member of the Classroom Teachers Google group. So if I come here to Google Groups, you will see inside of Google Groups, if I go to my groups, got a bunch of groups here, there's a group called Classroom Teachers. I did not create that. Nobody creates it. Classroom creates it. So right there, Classroom Teachers, that is the group that you need to be able to manage to approve people to be classroom teachers. So that's how people get into that group. I have not heard of anybody saying that people got wiped out and they had to put them back in. So no, I am sorry, but I have not heard. Has anybody, if anybody has, let me know, but I have not heard of that happening. That's unfortunate. Next up, we have many of our students being asked to enter CAPTCHA characters to log in. Does anybody know what is causing this and how we can make it not happen? The younger students are having a difficult time getting logged in with this happening. Are they logging into a visitor, no sign-in copy of Chrome? No, they're logging into the Chromebook that's owned managed by the district. I'm not sure on Chromebooks, but on Chrome on PC, we had it set up to clear the cache each time Chrome was closed, and this helped eliminate most of the CAPTCHAs. We have our Chromebooks set to not save user data each time the student logs out. So this is CAPTCHAs popping up when the students go to sign in. The only time I have seen it, this is my experience, is when somebody fails to sign in once. If you goof up signing in, the next time you go to sign in, you get a CAPTCHA. So if I've gone to sign in and I forgot my password and I did something wrong, it gives me the CAPTCHA. So part of me worries, you know, is somebody trying to sign into somebody else's account and not doing it properly? And because they can't get in, it's triggering the CAPTCHA for the real user. Now, that's my only knowledge, my only experience with it is, well, okay, 2 times. I see it when somebody signs in for the first time ever. Like you create a Google account for them, they've never signed in. The first time they sign in, it'll typically pop up the CAPTCHA. The only other time I ever see it is when I have failed to log in correctly. So that would be my wonder is somebody maliciously or unintentionally somehow trying to log in as somebody else, or are the students messing up their own login accidentally? They've got, they
show up on the first try.
What's that?
It doesn't always show up on the first try. Sometimes it's the second or third try.
Right. So again, I'm not sure about that. But that would be my thought, would be to consider, do we have a situation where students for some reason are not getting logged in properly by themselves or by somebody else, and then the CAPTCHA shows up to say, oh, I better make sure you're a real person here and not somebody trying to hack into the account. That's when I've seen it. All right, how do you change the settings so that Google Docs doesn't automatically convert Word docs that are uploaded? Absolutely, show you how to do that. You go to Docs, or excuse me, go to Drive. From Drive, if you go to the gear in the top right and give that a click, and you go to your settings, you'll get a little pop-up there that shows you a bunch of stuff, but one of them is convert uploads. If you check that box, everything you drag to Drive will automatically convert if it can be converted. So Word becomes Docs, and PowerPoint becomes slides, and Excel becomes Sheets. If you uncheck that, then they will be saved in their normal format, and then you can choose later to convert them if you want. But that is done in Drive from the gear icon and then settings, and right there under convert uploads.
And that's dynamic in the fact that if you have a bunch of files you want to upload, you can turn it on temporarily.
Yeah, you could turn it on for a while, upload them all, then turn it back off. All right, I think we're about to the end. Anthony, did you just want to say anything really fast about your search tidbits? Looks like you were pointing out Instagrok.
Yeah, they can just follow along on that. I'm going to move it so they can see it on the page properly, but it's just a graphical type of search engine they might find interesting. It's fairly new.
Yeah, I love Instagrok. If you have not used it, anybody, bonus points, where does grok come from? Bonus points. I'll leave it out there. I'll wait to hear from somebody. It's from a novel. I'll wait to hear. Okay, it's from a classic science fiction novel. So somebody will know where grok came from, and I'll give you 5 bonus points when somebody gets the answer. So, all right, if you grok something like photosynthesis, what it does is it gives you, in Instagrok, it gives you a visual search. So you get this web of the main word and things popping off of it. Couple of key things to notice about this. One is you get a lot of stuff like key facts, websites, videos, images, concepts, and a spot for your own notes. Now, all of that's pretty cool. But beyond just that, if I decide to go to any of these things, I can then click and it'll grok again and give me another spit off from the side of there. Beyond that, this is also able to be differentiated for your children. Up here in the top left is a difficulty slide. I can slide it up to get more sophisticated responses, slide it down to simplify the vocabulary of what comes up. So you can even differentiate with the slider here to get search terms, search results that are more appropriate for the age level of the kids. So a visual search with note-taking ability, with difficulty slider, a lot of nice stuff there. Thanks, Anthony.
And I'm just going to mention that because we may have some new users this year, I'll put a link at the bottom. It goes to my collection of search engines. I think it's currently 246 or something.
They got it. Stranger in a Strange Land. Yes. That's where grok is from. Bonus points by Heinlein, right? Isn't it? Yes, Robert Heinlein. Yep. That is where it's from. Yes, to grok means to understand something, to grasp something. So good job. All right. Well, folks, we are approaching 11 o'clock, so we're going to wrap things up. As always, I want to thank everybody who came here in person. We had a nice turnout here today in person. But for those who could not attend in person, please always feel free to join us live. If you want to jump in the Hangout in the future, not just watch it, I always have a note here. You can always send me an email message, and I will happily pull you into the Hangout so you can be on the screen with us, and you can talk and ask questions. It doesn't have to be just viewing. That is perfectly fine. And if you're watching this in the future, thank you for watching this, and you can always do that if this time of day does not work for you. Other than that, thank you all so much, everybody, and have a great start to your year. All right, take care.